Today, we will be discussing the case study of the legend of the Tipperary Hill Stoplight and how it has created a public memory for lasting generations. Because of this event, a monument was created that represents the narrative and cultural values of the stoplight that resides in Syracuse, New York. Before we get into the story of the Tipperary Hill Stoplight, we're going to go over some key concepts. The first concept is narratives. What is a narrative? A narrative is defined as the representation of at least two or real fictive events or situations in a time sequence, neither of which presupposes or entails the other. Narratives are also a form of symbolic action and can create a sense of cultural identity and community, and can also help to form personal and public memories. While personal memory helps form the past, public memory has a more detailed definition that involves the public's cultural identity. Public memory is a particular type of collective memory that combines the memories of the dominant culture and fragments of marginalized groups' memories and enables the public to make sense of the past, the present, and the future. Some examples of public memory can include monuments, memorials, museums, and historical locations. These historical places come with a dominant narrative to which affects the way certain cultures pertaining to said monument live. When people look at these monuments, they are reminded of the narratives heard from their culture. Cultural values can consist of customs, values, and beliefs. When relating narratives and cultural values together, great events within the culture can be retold through generations. Narratives can also find celebration within the community from said events, teach cultural values, explain causality, and entertain. When talking about cultural values and its origins, something that can be discussed are myths. A myth is defined as a dramatic vision that serves to organize everyday experience and give meaning to life. Myths also help people learn values and form beliefs through the dramatic telling of social situations. Implying causation can make the narrative of the legend more understanding. When implying causation, the event that happened first is seen to be the cause of later events. If one event in the story did not cause another, then at least the events are related in such a way that they bring into being or evoke a particular situation. The term narrative fidelity is the degree to which a story fits into the observer's experience with other accounts. Some sources say that there was no evidence of the green over red traffic light before 1945, and others say that they were the widows of the men who threw stones at the light. The Tipperary Hill Stoplight uses narratives in a way that brings cultures together. The use of myths and public memory have shaped this story to be told through generations. As previously stated, there is causation with any myth or legend, and one must look deeper into the history of the story.
A podcast that focuses on particular issues of historical interest aired a segment called Green or Red. The show aired near St. Patrick's Day in relation to the Irish. It was about a stoplight in the U.S. where the green light is above the red. But how did this become the only stoplight to become upside down? Tipperary Hill, the district that takes up half the far west side neighborhood in Syracuse, was settled by Irish immigrants. The Irish were laborers on the Erie Canal's construction from Albany to Buffalo, New York, and Syracuse is in the middle of this route. The town became the epicenter of laborers, and once the canal finished, many of the Irish laborers settled there. The origin of the Tipperary Hill's upside-down traffic light comes from the city's proud Irish heritage. In 1925, the first traffic signal light was installed in Tipperary. The light was set up on the corner of Tocqueville Street and Milton Avenue, located in Syracuse, New York. It first began as a normal traffic light, but the local Irish youth objected that the red light appeared above the green light. To the teenagers, the red represented the British and the green represented the Irish. They did not want the British over the Irish, so they began to throw stones at the red light. The Irish teenagers repeatedly threw rocks, or as they call it, Irish confetti, at the red traffic light on Tipperary Hill. These young protesters became known as the Stone Throwers, and their story represents the acknowledgement of the Irish cultural values. John Ryan, then alderman of the Tipperary Hill section, requested that the traffic sign be hung with the green bulb above the red to salute the Irish community. They did it. However, New York State stepped in and had this reversed to avoid confusing the colorblind. It was reversed, but still, the red lights were broken again and again. Eventually, the Tipperary Hill Protective Association addressed the town rulers. On St. Patrick's Day 1928, Commissioner Bradley met with Tip Hill residents. They told him that the light will continue to be vandalized. The city leaders relented, and so the green over red traffic light was born and remains there today. To recognize the Irish heritage in the community, in 1997, a neighborhood group convinced the city to build a small park called Tipperary Hill Memorial Park and build a statue of the Stone Throwers. The Tipperary Hill Heritage Memorial is on the corner at the green over red traffic light. The memorial is dedicated to the Irish who stood up to the City Hall to win the traffic light battle. The life-size bronze figure sculpture features an Irish immigrant family where the father is pointing out the traffic light to his wife, daughter, and son. The son has a slingshot in his back pocket, which hints to the history of the light. The story creates an outstanding public memory of a time when Irish immigrants were trying to establish their culture in the U.S. The narrative told by this monument teaches cultural values. It tells people how they should feel about their ancestors. The statue also suggests some forms of violence are acceptable to keep their culture alive.